Good morning, friends. Welcome to my home and the new sense of weird all around us. As you know, I live in a very public part of town, or maybe you don't know, and we're right here by Grace in the park, and it is a godsend to have this little front area with our two kids. Let me back up and say my name is Susie Fittler. I've been a part of MOPS since my daughter Bella was a baby and have really enjoyed the community and the connection with you guys. And when COVID-19 hit and I was sharing about doing Claire's room, it seemed like there was a real interest in home. And I think home provides a unique opportunity right now because it is our sanctuary, it is our workplace, it is our dwelling place for our children, it is the war zone, it is so many things right now. And what I hope to do today is just invite you into my daily life as a mom and a wife and a friend, and help you see how I set up my home to create rhythms and a space where we can thrive. First, I want to say there is so much grace right now. Grace upon grace upon grace. We're experiencing something that has not been experienced in history, a worldwide pandemic. And in this space, we can go through so many feelings and emotions. And something about trauma, and this is trauma, is that it gives way to past trauma. Before I was married and with children, I worked in a ministry of soul care, helping people work through the story of their lives with God to heal, to grow, and to be who they were created to be in Christ. And something I realized in working in my own story is that when modern day, everyday life trauma or difficulty happens, what happens in the brain is it gathers other data in other places of your story where you have been similarly hurt or wounded and experience those kinds of emotions. So when events like 9/11, COVID-19 come, you're not just dealing with the feelings that are with this event, though there are a lot of those. You're also having to separate out all these other feelings from all this other past pain. And so I just want to validate that to you guys, is that when we hurt, the little 5-year-old girl's hurting too. And Jesus sees that. And that's why these times are such a sacred invitation to meet with the Lord and meet with safe people, of course via Marco Polo or FaceTime, and share these innermost places of our soul and be curious about them, because this is how Jesus does his deepest work. Paul said that we would fellowship with Christ in our suffering, but in that we would also taste of his resurrection. I don't have the note, but that's in Philippians. And there's such a unique space that we're invited into in our suffering and also in the resurrection. And so we're here Easter week. I'm inviting you into my home, but I'm also inviting you into your heart to say, it matters, you matter, your story matters, and God has a sacred invitation, not just collectively to the world, which is so evident that he does, but a sacred invitation to you personally. And the more willing we are to take his hand, the more willing we become to take the hands of others. And I say this as I deal with so much crap coming up in my soul that I don't enjoy looking at right now. A lot of self-preservation and selfishness, judgment, etc. But know that God doesn't look on you with contempt or judgment. He looks on you with the eyes of grace. He sees his son, and he also sees who you were created to be. So, with that said, my little mini note, I would like to invite you into the mess and beauty of the Fittler home. And the first thing I want to invite you into is something that is important to us, which is to create magic and whimsy for our children. And not just for our children, but for the community. And so one of the things we've done is we have hung Easter eggs from the tree. I bought them like this, but I'm guessing there might be a way to do it yourself. I don't know how to do that, but and then we're blessed. Our landlord is like a grandpa to the children, and he gave us this great lawn and space for them. As you can see, there was a tea party. And if you don't already have a playhouse and you have the space, I highly recommend this is a time for you and your family to create your own little home. It's so magical and fun, and we decorate it for each season. And it's also a way to say you are welcome. And as we know, Jesus welcomes all of us. And so I think these are the moments that the Spirit uses to draw people. And I love the whimsy side of God. So that is our front. And one of the things in a functional way to share is a couple of things I just have ready at hand in the front yard. Chalk. Always got your chalk. Chalk can distract them, get them caught up in magic for a long time. Rob was doing some things with the girls. Addie's really into numbers. Bella's been working on writing. So I always have that. I also see in sitting areas, I got some bubbles under here. Thank you, neighbor Deb. Bubbles to create magic. Tea set, and guys, let all your crazy have to have everything in order go. I set up, we've got these little bins, water play, tea parties. Another good idea that I don't have out here but is in the art room is brushes to dip in water to paint the sidewalk, paint the house, etc. So have those things at your disposal so you don't have to go back in and out. Of course, many of you don't have front yards that you're playing in. A lot of you have backyards, so you can go in and out. Here is succulents that are just always a happy thing. So we just come up here. Here's some more basket stuff. And now I'm going to hopefully, I guess I have to turn this, invite you into our home. Here you go. Welcome to our home. You guys, I want to say that there was no good time to do this. I have been sick all week. Do I have COVID-19? I don't know, because nobody's testing. So maybe I do, maybe I don't. Well, it's not true. Everyone's testing. I'm just not like a high priority candidate. But this I did when Rob was out of town. If you have sample paint, guys, paint. Now is a good time. I did this one night when the girls were going to bed and love it. Okay, I put a little wreath hanger and I change that throughout the year. So something to think about, and what I want to talk about in this part of what I'm sharing is rhythms of a home. And it's so important to see your home as a space that you move and ebb and flow from. And one of the things is we go in different parts of the house at different times of the day. And we start out, Mommy and Daddy, in what I call the dungeon, the cavern, and you'll see why. This is how dark it normally is. I got those when Addie was a baby. Welcome to our world, not Instagram, Pinterest worthy. This is our beautiful bed. Thank you, Friend and Betty's, for the headboard. Glad I took a risk on that wall. Again, you guys, with this time you can paint. And what's this? Oh! Last year when we were experiencing some trauma in Rob's side of the family, his mother-in-law came to live with us. My mother-in-law came to live with us. During that time, the girls were trying to learn how to sleep in the same room. Let's just say it was not going well. Let's just say we had no space in the house, and Bella came to stay with us. Bella has not left us. And that is something I want to say. In crisis, it's not the time to try and get all your ducks in a row. You're trying to function in a very unique time and space. So give yourself so much grace. And if something is working for you right now, let it work for you. Then once you're out of that space, you can reassess. And that's something we did. And I'm so glad we gave ourselves permission to let go of the reins of sleep training, of keeping her in her bed. It has worked so much better for us as a family. And down the road, we're going to switch it up. Pandemic leaving. Okay, so we started here in the morning. Not a whole, well, a lot happens in here, but we come out every morning. My precious husband gets up Addie, and we go to this space. Now let me talk to you about form and function. This space used to be my stepson's bedroom. He moved up to the Bay Area last year. Right after that, my mother-in-law came and lived with us for a couple months, and this was her room. There was a bed, whatever. When she left, it was evident that we needed this space to be something for our family. The way the house is set up, it's an old house, so we created a TV room. There it is, a TV room / guest room. Super functional. Everything on here is from Facebook Marketplace, and it works great for our family. Next crisis. Pandemic. Rob has to come work with us. We do not have much square footage, so welcome to the Cloffice. I had seen another blogger, Instagram gal, do something like this. And what we did is we emptied out this closet. There wasn't much since it was an extra room. Just got this MDF particle board, these, and did that for about $30. Had him go to his office and get some fake fiddle things, and we've been doing art and made this into a Cloffice. So rethink the spaces you have. And we spend our mornings here. This is where we wake up. I'm reminded that God's mercies are new every morning. Something super simple you can do in this time is print some inspirational art. In all of my rooms, I like to have something up, not just words, but images, things that lift our hearts and make us think about God, about our story, about beauty, etc. So that's something to do in your home now, and you can do it for pretty inexpensive with frames you have. So after we go in here, and of course our kitchen is getting fully used, max capacity in the morning. Something I love and is very important to Rob and I is community and being reminded of those before us. So when we were making our kitchen, putting it together, we did this wall, and this is something you could do in your home. This is just a space for us to reflect and remember our community and to see them in our everyday life. So this wall serves that purpose. Another way is the guiding word for the year, and this I have in front of our sink, so it reminds us every day of ways in which the Lord might be working in that heart space for us. I mean, ladies, he's amazing. That's a whole other talk for another day. This is our art room / laundry room. We might go in here after the morning time, and this function is really creativity and getting the laundry done. Sometimes I'll find the girls, Bella and Addie, lost in here doing their artwork, whatever they're inspired to do. As you can see, Addie was inspired by purple, and this is where we display art. It kind of becomes our catch-all room, and look at that cute bunny. Another way I like to decorate or use my spaces is calendars, using those in the kitchen and in the art room. So anyhow, so when we come out of there, this is when we get into our crux, big part of the day, which is normally the hours of 10 to noon. 10 to noon, this is where we're doing our life. Rob is working in his Cloffice, and this has become the catch-all table. I put out some activities, right now, it's Barbie Pizza Kitchen. There's also kinetic sand. And I wanted to show you this too, because a trick in your house is to hide things. They're out, but tucked away, so you as a mom don't have to see it all the time. It drives me crazy seeing stuff. And something you also want to know, I close the door, and it really helps. Kids' stores stay open so we can see, hear, keep an eye on, but our doors remain shut. It really helps just aesthetically give you some peace. This is kind of the room where I'm Nazi on let's keep it soothing. Something about high function areas is at least especially right now, our dining room is, and like trays, you can sit them, tuck them away, and then like, oh girls, you want to do that art? Bam, pull it out. Okay, I'm going to do a little tangent here, but something that is really helpful for me in seasons and as a creative outlet is to every month or two switch things up a little bit, and this has been kind of our little Easter display / motif. And what I do is I get papers from papyrus, wrapping paper you could get online, and I try and keep it simple. This is an old calendar I've cut and then written on. Cards are also a really great resource. Just to have a couple spaces be fresh each month. Super functional, especially right now with COVID-19. Trying to put shoes, binned up, hang sweaters right away. So then we like come in here, and this is sort of just like a great space, the living area, to just sit and watch. And some of the functional things that I want to point out again are bins, QuickBooks, iPad for apps to bring out. Bella does Zoom with her preschool like a lot of your families do, and while she's doing that, I either come into the playroom or I do some apps on the iPad. This is the playroom. It was like a sitting room before there was a baby, and now it's a playroom. And I want to show you some tricks. Over here, I have a tent. One, because it's totally cute and magical, but two, it adds height and it hides stuff when I'm back here. I don't have to see it. Another thing, the dresses are behind here, so I don't have to see it. Play kitchen, play food, tucked. I think a real hint for me in the home is tucking things away. In my dream world, and if I had all the money, I would have everything probably in bins, but I don't, and that's fine. And isn't this a cute idea Rob came up with? This is a fruit holder, and we put all the little stuffed animals in there, so they're cute. So yeah, I try and change the girls section out a little bit to seasonal, and this of course is spring. So the girls will just kind of play when Bella's not doing Zoom and stuff. This I highly recommend for families. An ottoman, so no one's conking their head, and it serves as a table. This I'm going to take you into is their bedroom. Eventually Bella will come back in. And this is such a great space because I can be in here if the girls let me. And they come here, and we did this little dollhouse. As you can see, the princesses and the LOLs are doing quite well in quarantine. And I have the books tucked under here. And this is just an area they get lost in. And this becomes crazy LOL doll area, and Addie trying to be like her big sister. As you can see, the way I set up the room, when you walk in, you see the pretty things, your eye is like resting. And then when you're over here, it's a little more, like, okay, there's the stuff. And again, when you're setting up spaces, and maybe you're rethinking your space because you have time at home right now, remember you want your eye to be rested and quieted. You don't want too much, and you want to move the like clunkier, bigger things here. Or like if I had a big toy chest or a big bookshelf, I'd put it here so I don't have to see it from out there. Does that make sense? And anyhow, another thing I think about in this space is just keeping things organized. Like, again, crazy amount of dolls.